We must take on Trump, who is the most dangerous president in the history of the United States. He is working for his fellow oligarchs. He does not believe in the Constitution or the rule of law. He lies all the time. He has gotten us into a horrible war in Iran and on and on. But we also have to understand how Trump gets elected.
First, it goes without saying that we must hold Donald Trump, his administration, and the entire Republican Party, who control the White House, control the Senate, control the U.S. House. We are going to hold them accountable for their disastrous policies. These policies have devastated working families in Texas, in Vermont, and all over the country. We are going to hold them to account. This administration, among many other actions, decided, if you can believe it, that it was appropriate to provide $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%. And then to use that money to throw 15 million Americans off the health care they desperately need. And let me tell you something that has not been talked about much. When you throw 15 million people off health care, when people can't get to a doctor when they should, people by the thousands are going to die from that horrendous decision. And that is why, together, we're going to roll it back. But it's not just health care. Trump administration made the largest cuts to education in American history. As a result, 7 million Americans will be forced to pay $4,000 a year more on average on their student loan payments. And 1 in 4 student loan borrowers are expected to go into default by the end of the summer. We want our kids to have a great education, not to be forced to default on their loans. At a time when millions of kids are going hungry in America, Trump made the largest cuts to nutrition assistance in American history, literally, taking food out of the mouths of hungry kids. You don't take food out of the mouths of hungry children and give tax breaks to billionaires. That's not what this country is about. Trump ripped up the union contracts of 1 million federal workers. He denied overtime pay to over 4 million workers. Trump abolished humanitarian aid that will lead to the deaths of millions of the poorest children on this planet by 2030. And here in the U.S., Trump's domestic army, ICE, has acted brutally and illegally, tearing parents away from their kids and deporting millions of people who lived and worked in this country for decades. He has destroyed the lives of tens of thousands of people, and we're going to address that issue as well. And then after all of the cuts in health care, in education, in nutrition, he wants to spend another $500 billion on a bloated military budget. Those are not the priorities of the American people. Trump, during his campaign, promised no more endless wars. Remember that? And then started an unprovoked war against Iran in which thousands of innocent men, women, and children have been killed. Gas prices are now the highest in years, and taxpayers are going to have to spend hundreds of billions of dollars on this disastrous war. But it's not just Trump's terrible policies. The American people are tired of a president who is a pathological liar, who is an authoritarian personality who wants more and more power in his own hands, as he ignores the Constitution and the rule of law, who is a narcissist, who, if he had his way, would probably name every building in America after himself, who is a kleptocrat, corrupt kleptocrat, who accepts a $400 million luxury plane from Qatar and then makes deals with countries in the Middle East and around the world which benefit his family's wealth. My friends, it is important that we hold Trump and his administration accountable for the disastrous policies they have imposed on the American people. But I have to tell you, that is not enough. It is not enough to be anti-Trump and to simply campaign against Trump. The American people are hurting. They want to know.
Let me ask you something. What happens when the people who are supposed to be protecting ordinary Americans start making decisions that ordinary Americans can no longer afford? Because according to Senator Bernie Sanders, that is the question America needs to be asking right now. And that is the kind of a video that we are going to watch today, guys. So guys, I want you to stay tuned. And remember, you are going to buy me a coffee if you are going to click that subscription button. Otherwise, let us dive into the video.
What, in fact, is going on in this crazy and unprecedented moment in American history? They want to know what the Democratic Party stands for and what the Democratic Party is going to do to improve their lives when it gains power. And by the way, what I have seen is I have traveled this country and we have held dozens and dozens of rallies from one end of America to the other. And what I have seen in recent primary elections is that the American people do not want establishment status quo policies that tinker around the edges. The American people understand that this country is facing major crises, and they want bold proposals to improve their lives and the lives of their children. So let me do something this evening that is radical. You ready for a radical idea? All right. Are you really ready? I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you some stuff that you don't see in the corporate media and you hear very rarely in the halls of Congress. And that is that while the vast majority of the American people are struggling to put food on the table, pay for health care, pay for housing, pay for child care and education, the wealthiest people in our country have never, ever had it so good. In fact, never before in American history have so few people held so much wealth and so much power. a quick history lesson. You all remember we studied in high school the Gilded Age. You remember that? It was the age of Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, Jay Gould, and Carnegie, and these guys were very, very, very rich. It turns out that today, when you look at the people at the top of the economic ladder, the very few, the concentration of wealth in America today is 4 times greater than it was during the Gilded Age. 4 times greater. And that disparity is getting worse. After receiving the largest tax break in history from Trump, some 900 billionaires in our country became $2.2 trillion richer. 900 people since Trump is in office, $2.2 trillion richer. In other words, the gap between the very, very rich and everybody else is getting wider and wider. Never before in our history have we had as much income and wealth inequality as we have today. Today, the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 93%. Today, one man, Elon Musk, a trillionaire, Elon Musk owns 3 times more wealth than the bottom 50% of American households. Did you understand what I just said? One man owns 3 times more wealth than the bottom half of American society. CEOs of American corporations, big corporations now make 350 times what their average worker makes. But it is not just income and wealth inequality. Never before in American history have we had as much concentration of ownership in our economy as we have today. Handful of giant corporations control one sector after another sector, and their monopolistic practices drive up prices. But it's not just income and wealth inequality and concentration of ownership. Never before in American history have we seen so much billionaire and corporate ownership of our media. In the U.S. today, 6 large media conglomerates control about 90% of what the American people see, hear, and read. Trump's supporters have recently bought up CBS, and they will soon own CNN. Musk and his fellow billionaires own many of the major social media platforms. And as bad as all of that is, let me tell you what is even more dangerous. And that is today, the billionaires and their super PACs are undermining our democracy and increasingly control the political process in our country. Here's the truth. You want to run for office, you want to run for local office, you want to run for state office, you want to run for Congress. And you get involved in a campaign, you say, I'm going to stand up for the working class of this country. And you run a good campaign. You know what happens to you? The billionaires and their super PACs will spend tens of millions of dollars to defeat you. That is not democracy. And that is why together, not only are we going to end this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, but we're going to get super PACs out of the political process. Bottom line, we are now living in a moment in American history where a tiny number of billionaires are exerting unprecedented influence over our society. And let me tell you something, these are not nice guys. They are extremely greedy and ruthless and will do anything they can to accumulate even more wealth and power. You might think that if you had $10 billion, that might be enough. Not for these guys. They want more and more and more, and they will step on anyone, in order to achieve their goals. And while the very richest people in this country become richer, what is going on with the American working class? And I think all of you know the answer.
Guys, I hope you have watched that video until the end, and I want to welcome you to this further end where I do usually make the commentary about the video that you have just watched a few minutes ago. So guys, Sandam has been one of the loudest critics of Donald Trump administration, especially when it comes to the economy, government spending, workers' rights, and the direction of American democracy, guys. And whether you agree with Sander or not, some of the issue he raises deserves serious attention. So guys, one of the biggest concerns is wealth inequality. Sander argues that America's economic system has increasingly favored the wealthiest Americans, particularly billionaires and the top 1%, guys. So his criticism is very simple, guys. If tax policies give the best benefits to people who already have enormous wealth, while ordinary families are struggling with the rent, they're struggling with the food, healthcare, and education, then who is the government really working for, guys? That is a big question that we should be asking. And that brings us to social services, guys. Sander has strongly criticized cuts or proposed reductions affecting healthcare, education, nutrition, assistance, and the other program that are millions of Americans depends on, guys. For a family already struggling to survive, losing access to healthcare or food assistance isn't just a number in a government budget. It can mean choosing between paying the electricity bill and buying groceries. It can mean a parent delaying medical treatment because they simply cannot afford it. And then there is an American worker. Sander has also raised concern about federal employees and overtime protection, guys, arguing that workers should not be expected to sacrifice their livelihoods while those at the top continue accumulating great wealth. But Sander's criticism goes beyond economics. He has also accused the Trump administration of showing authoritarian tendencies. His concern is about the relationship between presidential power, the Constitution, the Congress, and the rule of law, guys. And this is where the debate becomes much bigger than Donald Trump. Because the real question is, how much power should any American president have? And there is a foreign policy. Trump campaigned on promises that Americans should avoid unnecessary wars and stop getting trapped in endless conflicts, guys. Yet, Sanders has criticized America's military involvement in Iran. You have been seeing there's a Iran war and America, arguing that it's conflict with those area promises. And guys, what I want us also to talk is about the immigration. Immigration has been talked in this video. The aggressive use of immigration enforcement and deportation policies has become one of the most emotionally charged issues in America. You know, supporters say strong efforts is necessary to protect national borders and uphold immigration law. Critics, including Sanders, they are arguing that aggressive enforcement can separate families. and create fear in the communities. That is completely true, guys. So, when we step back, this isn't simply a disagreement between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong. It is a much larger argument about what kind of America people want to live in. An American where economic growth and benefits everyone. An American where government programs protect vulnerable families, guys. An American where workers have stronger protection, guys. Or an American where executive power becomes increasingly dominant. You may agree with the Sander, guys, of course. You may strongly disagree with him, of course. But these are questions that deserve more than political slogans. Because behind every policy debate are real people. They are real workers, parents, children, families, and ultimately the future of the country itself. So guys, the question I want to leave you with is this. Is America becoming more prosperous and secure? Or are ordinary people being left behind while political power becomes more concerned at the top? So guys, let me know what you think in the comments, guys. And guys, I want to appreciate you so much for the kind of support that you are giving me, and I want to appreciate so much for watching this video until the end, because such kind of videos they are very educative and I always enjoy doing them. Otherwise, to my returning viewers, I want to say a big bravo to you for always coming back to watch my video. And guys, remember, if you are new here, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe and share this video to anyone who you may feel he may like it or she may like it. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.